Gerhard, finally, we are here. We have heard college coaches complain about this for a couple of years now, and finally the NCAA is going to roll some things back and do something that makes sense.
This is confirmation of something that's been rolling on for a while now. There's been whispers of this talk, and then last week Patrick and I talked about this date, and really the only thing that they were going to hammer in is the dates that it would be.
Sure.
They floated out these two dates, January 2nd to 16th, and it looks like that's the date that they found. And there's a lot of talk there, and there's been some coaches that have had rebuttals, but not necessarily about the portal. It's just about the specificity of the dates, and there's still some things to be ironed out as far as players who play deep into the postseason, or if a coach ends up leaving and that window might change just a little bit. But no, you're right. As far as the overall guardrails go, this is a phenomenal thing for the sport.
How this was previously, I think that we've heard from several coaches in the SEC, either be it in interviews or one-on-one conversations that you and I have had with a lot of coaches really over the last year or 2 years, is that the calendar was impossible. It was getting so difficult to manage the postseason. It was getting really, really challenging to manage if you're going to be in a bowl game, how you're going to deal with the outgoing guys. We saw it not only at the P4 level, but also at the G5 level. South Alabama, right here in our own backyard in Mobile, had guys who were there and practicing for spring ball and had a completely different roster kicking off the season in the fall.
And coaches knew that going into it. They're like, hey, we are going to prepare for a bowl game with guys that we know that are not going to be on the roster. And or there'll be guys coming in the spring that aren't even here yet because we still have to manage our rosters. You're right, because that December period just became untenable for coaches altogether, because you're worried about your signing class, your high school signing class, then you're worried about guys that are on your roster leaving, and then how to replace those with guys that are already in the portal as well. So this does make it a lot more manageable in December. Not to mention December, there's two major holidays that are family oriented, so you want to spend
supposed to be family oriented,
some time with your family.
I mean, there is family oriented to the NCAA and to college athletics as I don't know, any sort of loyalty is right now. I mean, like right now we are seeing an ever changing landscape, ever changing times when it comes to what this looks like, and I think that part of it was a lot of changes needed to happen to be in favor of student athletes. The NCAA had a chokehold, a stronghold on every single rule, be it, I don't know, money, be it trying to go anywhere without penalty, what the calendar looks like. And so eventually a bunch of lawmakers just said, hey, okay, we are not going to allow this to continue. It's getting ridiculously one-sided. It was one-sided for a really long time. Then we go the other direction, and we've got to somehow meet in the middle a little bit. I feel like we finally are.
Yeah, and I think this is that point where we are meeting in a little bit. And I've harped on the NCAA for a long time for its lack of leadership. And it's not necessarily because they weren't punishing people that were doing wrong. They were still doing that, but they would turn a blind eye to some things. They would punish other things, and it just felt so disjointed. And then it felt like the umbrella issues, the big picture issues, were not being addressed. Now the big picture issues are being addressed, and what I do like about it is we're not kicking the can down the road like, hey, January 2nd, 2027.
That's why I just said
starting immediately.
I said to you guys a minute ago before we started the show, when does this actually begin? And you're like, oh, right away. I was pleasantly surprised by that. Similar to you, is because typically the NCAA will make a rule and like, okay, well, sometime by 2030, we're going to go to 15 days, and we're going to quit doing this. But for 5 more years, is what we're going to do for reasons that nobody understands except for the folks there at the NCAA. Let's look at the details of this, Patrick. I know that you had this up as to what this is actually going to look like. So the portal will run for a 15-day period that begins on January 2nd. If you're playing in the playoffs, those teams will have some extended time to kind of bridge the gap, so to speak, when it comes to, okay, if you want to leave at a later time, obviously those college football playoff teams will go a little bit deeper into the beginning of the new year. So the 15-day window also is going to change here for head coaches leaving. So is it not just firing, but also if they leave?
Both.
So fired and also just if they leave in any sort of departure.
That's right.
So I do think that just that existing needs to exist. I think that's not a terrible idea to have that. I don't mind it being rolled back to 15 days. And then, of course, we do know that the number of student athletes for college football that entered the portal this past spring when they had 2 windows was outrageous, and half of them were from South Alabama.
And I do think
it was ridiculous.
It was a lot. It was a lot, and really the group of 5. But honestly, Simone, what I think is kind of the beautiful thing about this is because the numbers got so ridiculous. Probably is the reason why the gas pedal was hit to accelerate. Hey,
because the
we
problem
got to make
was
this
so
done
bad.
faster.
Yes.
It's like, this is jarring.
Yep.
This is not just bad, just big picture, but this is bad right now.
Yep.
So let's change it right now.
Yes. So just to be specific, players on the two teams that compete in the national championship game on January 19th will have 5 days from January 20th to January 24th. So that's the specific difference there if you're playing in the national championship game and opting to go, which if you think that's crazy, I mean, it's not, because it happened just last year. It happens every single season.
Yeah.
Obviously, Notre Dame's backup, hightailed it out of there, peanut butter and jelly. And so, we know that right now guys want to go get the best opportunity that they can wherever they can. And, a lot of that has to do with the money situation, which the NCAA, as we know, last week tried to put some toothpaste back in the tube a little bit on rules when it comes to NIL and what that looks like as well.
Yeah, and I think that this is all a part of what I think is going to be the umbrella structure for what we see in college sports. And then now everybody, it'll still be, you can still operate and it'll still seem a little crazy, but it's crazy with guidelines. I mean, we see this in every other league. The NFL has a free agency period. Yeah. You can't sign guys until this point, and you only have until this point. And we're seeing that now, that same thing in college football, because let's just be honest, the transfer portal is free agency, and now we're seeing guidelines on that here. Hey, you can sign guys here to here. Players, if you're an athlete, if you're thinking about leaving, you have here to here. If your coach gets fired or leaves, you have here to here. If you play the national championship game, once the clock hits 0, you have this day to this day, period.
And it needs to be that way.
Yes.
We need not have a gray area. We don't need to have free agency. We don't need to have do whatever you want to do, because at the end of the day, signing a scholarship has to have some type of meaning. There has to be some meaning in choosing where it is that you're going to go, where it is that you're going to go play. If you don't like it after a year, if the guy you committed to goes and takes a bigger job and you want to go take a bigger job, okay, I get all that, but there's got to be some type of deal made that actually is binding in some capacity. I mean, this has gotten ridiculous.
Yeah, it has. And then I think that the no spring period, I think also, to me, will create better team chemistry, because these guys will be with each other for longer. They'll be in the same building, because it's not going to be a subway in, subway out situation where you have a guy that's literally been on campus for less than 90 days. We talked about this during SEC Media Days, how impressive it was for guys like Jackson Arnold, who had literally just got to campus the few days before, because he was a product of the spring portal.
Yes.
And then he now was leading Auburn. But those are the rare things. You want to be able to have your leadership from a coach's standpoint, because all these coaches, for the most part, these coaches are in it to help players develop.
Yep.
You can't do that when your locker room is Grand Central Station.
It's true. No question about that, guys. And it seems like the NCAA committee, they are like taking a nap for several months, and then they wake up and they're like, oh, let's go decide on like 15 things right now, right? And that's how it goes. Everything comes in like this huge like downfall of like, all right, let's throw 17 things out and try to bury something like politics. It's like, hey, what can we get in this law? We're getting in this setup right now so that no one notices what's happening over here in some way too. And so what come down from the NCAA today, and Gerhard, I know that you can probably speak to this a little bit better than I can, actually a lot better than I can, but the NCAA is going to allow college student athletes to bet on pro sports. Give us a little bit of details on this.
Yeah, obviously this has to be passed by all 3 divisions of college athletics, Division I, Division II, and Division III of the NCAA. All 3 branches will have to do so. It looks like the change will be effective on November 1st. But this now, it removes the prohibition from athletes to be able to gamble on professional sports. Yes. Keep in mind, it's professional sports, not college sports. They still can't bet on college sports, and I think that's a good thing.
Well, no question.
Yes, and even college sports that are away from your college sport, I think is a good thing.
But I think that's why they're doing it.
Yes,
I think they're giving a little, because they didn't give nothing when it came to NIL and paying players.
Right.
And then everyone just completely ripped the Band-Aid off and went all in on that. And so they know if they don't give a little bit in this day and age and how big sports gambling has become, if they're not, okay, let's let these guys go, bet on tonight's Yankees game or something like that.
Right.
Like, hey, okay, let's let them do that so they aren't just ripping the Band-Aid off and now betting on their own teams and all the ridiculousness that we're seeing that is taking place behind the scenes in the dirtiness of sport and all of that.
No question. And you know this because you've been in locker rooms, and I have too. Everywhere that you go in a college football locker room or college basketball or baseball, it's don't bet anything. It's hammered into your head like the Ten Commandments.
You think it's bad in the locker rooms? We played in the NCAA tournament twice at Bowling Green, and I swear.
Woods, sports is tradition. Sports is passion. Woods, sports is tradition. Sports is passion. Woods, sports is tradition. Sports is passion.
And now Sally lost her eligibility. Like literally, it was like, okay, Sally, can I go practice for Ohio State? Because we're gonna play them in the second round if we can advance past Michigan State, which of course, we ended up losing. But dude, okay, yeah, it was ridiculous.
Yes, it was, and to me, this is kind of a twofold thing because number one, you're right. There needed to be a separation between college sports and pro sports, but also too, speaking to the bigger picture of the economy overall, gambling is a multi-billion-dollar industry, and it, to me, never made sense why the pitcher for the Miami Hurricanes couldn't bet on the Miami Heat to win a basketball game in January.
You're right.
It made no sense to me.
You're right.
And for the NCAA to waste their time investigating these things, it compounded how much time we were wasting on all of this. So we call that job validation. Yes. For the nonprofit that they are.
Yeah. Patrick, I want to bring you in for this. I know that you're a big pro sports guy. Thoughts on the NCAA at least taking one step closer to allowing maybe to relax a little bit when it comes to gambling with college athletes?
Well, I tell you what, if Division II and Division III accept this proposal, there's one quarterback in the SEC that's going to be very happy, and his name is John Mateer, because if we remember the whole Venmo thing before the season, who knows what happens with that. But then he won't have to hide it anymore. But I think you bring up a good point, because it just felt like they were wasting their time trying to investigate these non-important ones. I mean, I understand, okay, college athletes on college athletes, that's bad.
Yeah.
But when you're talking about like the Miami Hurricanes and the Miami Heat, you're wasting your time when there's a lot of guys that I'm sure are doing PEDs that need to be investigated rather than
there's bigger fish to fry.
Problems. Yes. There are way bigger problems, and to me, I don't like any entity, government or otherwise, being able to stand in somebody else's way to be able to make money.
Yeah.
For some reason, it's a part of a free market economy, liberation of choice, and I didn't like there to be any speed bumps between them and that. And even if it's just for fun, because people aren't really getting rich. It's a small handful of people that can make gambling their job, and there's an extra small amount of people that can even make enough for it to be taxed.
Yeah.
But just to be able to throw $50 on a football game for the NCAA to now investigate that was just a waste of resources.
Here's how I feel about it, guys. Okay, if I'm a college baseball player, okay,
yes,
and let's say that last night I was watching the Yankees, okay, and I just overnight decided I was going to become a fan after watching Aaron Judge absolutely blast that.
The shocker. The shocker!
I am leaving immediately.
Patrick, noted Mets fan.
Wow.
Already.
What did I tell you?
Let's just say, I've been setting this up for hours, you guys, for hours. Let's just say I wanted, because Aaron Judge made me a Yankees fan overnight.
Wow.
And let's just, Patrick's face right now. Let's just say
disgusted. Our resident Mets fan.
Did the Mets play tonight? And one of those okay.
I'm gonna work on.
And I wanted to bet on the Yankees here tonight.
He's blown away
in a game that's going to be pivotal. After what Aaron Judge, the Magic in the Bronx, it's incredible. What do you think, Patrick? That should be allowed, right? If I'm a college student athlete.
And I'm gonna call our good friend Mark Malusis right now and tell him exactly what you just said.
He's gonna be as fired up as I am. I can tell you right now. No.
This is worse. This is the worst thing I've.
Wow.
I walked in with my Mets shirt, and then by 2 o'clock we switched to gear.
In wrestling, this is what they call turning heel. You go from the good side literally to the dark side.
Or it's what we call in the sports world hopping on the bandwagon.
You know what? And moments like what we saw last night can make an impact that quickly.
Aaron Judge.
There we go.
Aaron Judge.
Give her 5 minutes and she's going to be walking around saying, 27 rings, 27 rings. This is our year.
Love it. Listen, it ain't over till it's over. You said they're going to the bullpen tonight.
They are going to the bullpen. It's a bullpen game here for the Blue Jays.
That's what I'm saying, guys. So here's the deal. We're gonna unpack all of that in hour number 2 here on Southeast Sports Plus. So
a Yankees fan. Wow. Bailing on this.
I've only been waiting for that moment for at least 4 hours. So.
Honestly, I'll pull the curtain. I knew about it.
He did.
And I knew Patrick's face would be pure disappointment.
He had to go to the overhead shot. He had to go to the overhead.
Garbage. That's what we call that in Queens, New York. Garbage.
Love this.